channel, which is frequented by many thousands of people, I read the Bill of Rights out loud. And I'd like to do so again, but with just with some commentary on it. And not much. Look at that. Look at how simple it is. And this even goes to 12. Look how big 12 is. So I mean, if you reduced it to 10, you could probably read this out loud in just a couple minutes. It's so simple, and yet so wonderful. It just makes me happy. I can't get it. I keep reading it, and now when I'm reading articles and stuff about legislation and what's going on politically, I'm reading it. I'm looking at it through this lens. This is still in force. This is the supreme law of the land on which all the other laws depend. And boy, I got to tell you, if someone were running for office and they couldn't tell me at least maybe 6 of the 10 amendments, my question would be, how are you going to keep your oath of office if you don't even know what it is? And I'm sorry to be so negative, but I want to memorize this. I really do. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. Huge, right? That's like 4 giant things. Bam, 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 bam. Enormous. Make no... And I don't pretend to understand this, but that's the first rule of Gatelynomics, isn't it? You have to at least try. As soon as you go, well, you know, highfalutin educated people understand this. I can't possibly understand it. Well, you may as well just start signing your name with an X and go do what your betters tell you to do. No, I won't do that. I won't do it. I'm gonna at least give it a shot. And if the law, see, this is how simple the law should be. It should be so obvious and so direct and so straightforward that anyone can understand it. You read these other amendments, they're like these huge things. Why do they need to be so big? So, yeah, freedom of speech. Huge deal. If you don't have freedom of speech, that freedom of speech means dissent. Freedom of speech doesn't mean to read recipes out loud. It means to say there's something wrong. Or there's something right, to advocate one thing or another, to say whatever you want without fear of repercussion. There's a recent story where this British couple, they're coming, I think they're young, I think they're like in their 20s, and they're coming to the U.S. for, I don't know, a short period of time. They're going to party. And they say, we're going to destroy America. And of course, in the British vernacular, I guess that means you're going to really party hardy, I guess. So, but Department of Homeland Security takes exception to that, and they turn them away at the airport, take their passports and send them back to Britain. I could not believe that. Seriously? I mean, that's like a Washington General's maneuver, you know? That was like, did you do any homework? Did you dig or use any sort of common sense about what was going on? And I'm just thinking, oh, that's amazing. That made me wonder, God, what have I said or written that could be misconstrued somehow? But see, but it makes sense in Naomi Klein's world, which is, it isn't about defending the United States. I'm just applying something. I'm saying, well, what if it's about sending a message? Speak out, we're watching you. That's the message. So the message is loud and clear. Make a tweet, we're reading it. And we might do something to you without due process. We'll just do it. We'll take your passport and send you back home. Guess what? Your plane ticket's gone, your vacation's gone, freedom to move around, gone. That's a problem. I have a problem with that. Besides, it reflects badly on our country, I think. I'm actually a little embarrassed now. Like, and if I were the tourism industry, I'd be like, hey, can you guys cool it a little bit? So anyway, yeah, right to peaceably assemble. What does peaceably assembling look like? Will you be on public land? Will you maybe block the flow of traffic temporarily? Peaceably assemble, and the right to petition government for a redress of grievances. I have grievances. I have grievances. Now I want to be clear, as always, I adhere to Christian principle, which is, if somebody, whoever it is, does something bad to me, there is in Christ's teachings a proper response elaborated, which is turn the other cheek, give them their cloak also, bless them that persecute you, do good to them that despitefully use you. Yeah, so I say God bless you, Department of Homeland Security. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. By the way, I believe that applies to not having a religion too. So be careful when you say dumb things like people that believe in creation shouldn't be allowed to hold public office. Whoa, once you admit that, say, well, if you believe a certain way, you can't hold public office by fiat, by law, not by people agreeing or disagreeing with that person and voting for them or not voting or voting against them, then you've admitted, well, now you can do that. So now it's who can grab the reins of power and start pressing that button in their favor. That's not what it's about. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't have much to say about that one. I think it's pretty spectacular though. And I think that's kind of a big linchpin, is people are armed to the teeth. Wow, that changes the game a bit. Third Amendment, this is a quartering of soldiers. The only thing I thought of when I was reading that is, well, if I pay taxes to support a permanent standing military, is that kind of like quartering soldiers? I don't know. I really don't know. Seriously, I don't have that much. 4, 5, and 6, boom! These are the big ones. These are huge, huge deals. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. That means the internet. That's your computer. Your computer is the modern equivalent of papers, in my opinion. And that is absolutely like I was watching Fifth Element, where they're like, everybody come out, there's going to be an inspection of this entire block. That's police state. That's not right. Go watch X-Files, watch Law and Order, watch The Mentalist, that's a favorite of mine, and see how many times these agents, these federal agents, or even state agents, in the case of The Mentalist, because it's the California Bureau of Investigation, how often they violate people's Fourth Amendment rights. They just get in there. They just go, oh, it's ridiculous. So, hold on. No warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Yeah, the Patriot Act is, from what I understand, and what I've been able to garner and figure out, is an effective partial repeal of the Fourth Amendment. That, no, federal agents can just come in if they feels like it. They can do warrantless wiretaps. They can, listen in on you. Massive sweeps of information. So that's no good. Fifth Amendment, no person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless presentment of indictment of grand jury. Quite frankly, I don't know what that means. Let's see. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. Now, my understanding, even though it says criminal case to be a witness against himself, that's pleading the fifth. And you always hear, it's like, they get how it's portrayed on like TV, is the gangster gets up there and they're like, did you shoot so-and-so? Well, I'll have to plead the fifth, ha ha ha. That the implication, as we've been conditioned, is the Fifth Amendment is effectively, if you invoke that, you're admitting that you're guilty. You're just saying, you don't want to be guilty. Or you don't want to say that you're guilty. But that's not it at all. The Fifth Amendment is what prevents the state from using coercive means to get you to witness against yourself. This has to do with torture. And sliding scale, total torture, where you might flay someone alive to the bone, Dark Eldar style, okay? All the way down to a police officer leaning in like this, intimidatingly, trying to kind of lean on you, put some pressure on you. Don't be intimidated, just know your Bill of Rights. And on to the Sixth Amendment. If there's a problem, an accusation, well then, you know, bring the accusation, what it is. But be prepared to bring some witnesses and round up 12 men and women, good and true. So, let's see. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now that's a huge thing. Your money is your property. In fact, the income that you earn from your job, that is your life. You spent your time to create something, to get something that you could exchange for other goods. Or maybe you just made a good. So the only way to take someone's life, liberty, or property, including their money, is through due process. Say due process of law? Yeah, due process of law. So that's my thing with the IRS. Because the IRS doesn't work that way. There's no due, they don't bring an accusation against you. They just come, they say, you owe us this money. Oh, by the way, here's the penalties and interest on it. And there's no trial. You just owe that. You can't fight it because, as I've discovered, they don't have like a trial. They have a low-level bureaucrat reviews the case, and then if you want to appeal the case, you can do that. But guess who reviews the appeal? The same guy. Yeah, there's no constitution as long as the IRS exists, basically. Because it means at any point in time, this bureaucracy can turn your life completely upside down. And there's a problem with that. So, without due process of law, so that's it. You want to take my money? You better bust out your due process. There's got to be it can't just be, by the way, we're taking this from you. And that is where we've gotten in this country. The state generally is starting to just take things from people, take their lives. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. All right, we're in the second half. This is going to blow by pretty quick. Sixth Amendment. This is the National Defense Authorization Act. So basically, laws are being passed nowadays, in fact over the last 10 years, maybe even longer, that effectively go against these ideas. They're the opposite. This says I get due process. This says you can't just break into my luggage. But the Patriot Act says yes. It says we will get into your luggage anytime we feel like it. Random searches. We're going to make it, and if we don't want you to, you can't fly anywhere. But no way to fight it either. No way to even find out why that happened. Like for all I know, I'll go to the airport on my way to Adepticon, $500 ticket. Oh, sorry, no refunds. You're on the list. What? How did this happen? How do I change? Nope, sorry. There's no process by which you can be... Yeah, so I guess maybe flying where you want is liberty. Freedom to come and go as you please. Oh, just a note. If I understand it right, you are by default free to come and go as you please and move around wherever you want. Police car rolls up. They ask you to come over. First question out of your mouth should be, am I being detained? Because you can be detained temporarily while an officer determines if there's been the commission of a crime. Because they're depriving you of your liberty. They're saying you can't go away. You can't just walk off. So that should be the first thing. Or you're being arrested. So you're either free to come and go as you please. You're not free temporarily because you're being detained with no accusation. They're just kind of like, all right, everybody just cool it while we figure out who broke the window or whatever it is. Or you're being arrested. But in any case, you should probably just keep your mouth shut. But I guess that goes away too when the military shows up, puts a bag on your head, drags you off at 3 a.m., and nobody even knows where you are, what they're doing with you. They strip you of your citizenship, they cart you overseas. They don't, and it's already happened. And what's a step up from that? Sniping someone is so if the state says that's okay, well, what is that? Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or process without due process of law. Or, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So that's my question. Has at any point in time, has an American citizen been deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law? Those people had the Bill of Rights violated. It's a problem. Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. Kind of hard for that to happen when a missile from a drone explodes you limb from limb. Right? Which district shall have been previously ascertained by law and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Huge deal. That you should be clinging that to your heart. This, I should fold this up into an amulet and have it hanging around my neck at all times. I want to actually commit this to memory so that it can never be taken from me. That it will be in my mind. That I will understand it, I will love it, and I will know it. This is, because if you don't have this, how will you speak? It's like the Matrix. How are you going to make a phone call when you can't even speak? 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th Amendments. I don't want to skip over those. Controversy shall exceed $20. That's how much the money's been devalued. $20 effectively would probably buy, I'm going to say, $600 worth of stuff. Now, that's how much the money's been devalued. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishments inflicted. Are we inflicting cruel and unusual punishments? The enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. This is what popped into my head when I read the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. This is what's called enumerated powers, which means the federal government can do this list of things. It's in the main body. And everything else, they're not supposed to be doing that. So it's like a negative sort of like, do this, everything by default is something you're not supposed to be doing. But here's what blew my mind. Nor prohibited to by the states or reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So where does the government get its power? You. You had sliding scale. You gave some of your power to government and moved that scale. Because this is the sweet spot. This is where you're safest. Because if there's roving bands of marauders, you really don't have any liberties because someone might kill you at any second. Or now your travel is really restricted. So there's a sweet spot right here. But this whole thing, all of this is what you retained. You gave the government this amount, but you didn't give them these things. You are still responsible individually to do all of those things. To provide for yourself, to protect yourself, to effectively take care of your own family. So to me, that's what the 10. That's what all of this means. And boy, folks, you better figure out how to get involved because I think the slider's just moving over. It's a step at a time. Can we do this? Oh, nobody objected. Okay, can we do this? Nobody objected to that either. Can we do this? It won't ever stop unless there's some kind of pushback. And I am a firm believer that in the United States right now, this can be accomplished peacefully. And for me, that realization, for me, is like waking up out of a bad dream. That it's still not, it's like Ebenezer Scrooge on Christmas morning. It's still not too late. Not too late to change it. So I'm begging you, please, please get involved. Use, know, and understand your rights. Start reading. Figure out how to... 2012 is a huge, huge year in Pollock. The primaries are running right now. 5 states down, 45 to go. They'll all be done by, I think, August. Tops. If that, it might even just be July. So, guys, find out how you can get involved and do something about it. Donate $20. But dude, don't let it be that this got completely ripped to shreds. And when you're asked, what were you doing? You have to say, well, I was doing nothing. I did nothing. You gotta do something. Even a tank can be stopped by enough marshmallows. A couple billion ought to do it. So, you know, you've gotta do something. And for me, you know, if I'm standing up, then yeah, I have the most to lose. If anything, right now I should be completely shutting up, take off all these videos just in case, and just completely shut down and just take care of my own family and take care of my own business. But instead, I'm getting on, I'm making an appeal to, you know, stand up for your rights. Because they're being eroded slowly. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I'm very, very optimistic.